What's going on, everyone? My name is James Livingston, bringing you guys an overlook on the entire market as a whole, mainly NQ and ES here in the futures market. I'm going to be kind of analyzing over both the NQ and the ES and see what kind of key levels we can be watching for here coming this week, the week of May 5th into the 9th. So without further ado, let's roll into it. So one of the first couple of things that I'm looking at here on NQ particularly, no indicators whatsoever on the screen at the moment, just kind of analyzing it based on what I can see. We can see that, prior week we did end off with a nice solid green candle, a solid outside candle actually, on the week of the 21st. Now the last week of April heading into May, a very nice continuation candle as well, getting in a good push up towards those highs at the end of March. So overall looking pretty bullish on the short term, right? So we'll go in here on the daily and see exactly what we can see for levels or potential levels to get hit here coming up this week. Turn down real low. You go wait on the bed and I'll come get you in. So zooming out here on the daily time frame on NQ, we can see that clearly we had a prior top then right over here at the late March time. Primarily, it looks like the top was around 20,520-ish. I'm going to go ahead and zoom on in the 4 hour, just get a little bit closer of a look here. So yeah, we just recently pushed over this little swing high here at the 19,850 to 900 level. You can see price action has already swooped right past this high here. Looking over to the current price action, so that's a solid push up followed by consolidation, push up again. I anticipate that this trend will continue at least until it finds a resistance, possibly in the 20,500 area. As you can see here, a very steep uptrend of consistently higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high. So the market structure is holding up very well. So I do anticipate for NQ to continue on this until we see further notice. So that is my assumption right now. Now looking and going in here a little bit closer on the hourly, the 30-minute, etc. Now we can start to see things a little bit more clearly as far as what we could potentially see here into the overnight session on Sunday here the 4th into Monday the 5th. So I do expect one of these two levels to potentially get touched here within the next day or so. I expect the 19,950s area to potentially get tapped into, or the 20,520 area to potentially get hit as a resistance before we see any kind of moves, whether it be a rejection up here, back down, or continuation up through it, or if we come back down to the 19,950s, potentially find a bounce down there, continue on up. If we come all the way down here, like I'm talking about the 19,950s, and we do get a bounce there, we're possibly looking at a retest of this trend line. We do come up to that trend line, there's a chance that we could reject off of that yet again and then potentially continue this thing back down lower. There's always that chance as well. But as always, we can play both sides. So when this does get released, when this video is released, it will still be the evening of the 4th. So you can look out for potentially some plays here overnight. I'm going to give you some overnight levels here on this. So my overnight levels for NQ at the moment, the spots that I'd be waiting for a potential break to the upside would be a break above this 20,225 area. I think that would essentially break us out of this little downtrend that we're kind of stuck in right now. On the smaller time frames, you can see this downward channel that we're in. I think we do need to break above that 20,225 area in order to start to see potentially highs of the 260s or even an overnight push towards that 500. Now, as far as forward downside, my expectations here are pretty simple. If we are to start pushing down beneath this 20,125 area, like we seem to be kind of pivoting towards at the moment, if we can break beneath it and hold underneath of it, I do anticipate NQ to see at least a little bit more fall down, somewhere down into where you can see all this kind of open space right here. You can see that little wick we have from back on Monday. You can see that little wick that we have from back on Friday morning, from the 20,000, basically 20,000 flat up to about 20,070. I would anticipate that if we do break 20,124, 125, we could potentially go down and push towards that area before we find a support. So that's what I'm looking at there for NQ. Let's move on over to ES, aka the equivalent to SPY, the S&P 500. So very similar. We're not going to be able to see much different when it comes to this. Now, I will say that while we saw on NQ that price action had kind of taken this recent swing lower high, here on SPY, we haven't even quite tapped into that area yet. You know, we're kind of just now starting to get into this region. If we draw a little box across, we can see we just tapped into it. We haven't fully put ourselves into that area like we did with NQ, so maybe a little bit of a lag behind there. And we also have that swing high, or a very close similar swing high to the 20,500 level on NQ that I'm watching for. So 1,840-ish, sitting right there. Also potentially a target here in the next couple of days. Now, again, looking at just strictly ES for its price action overnight. My levels here that I'd be watching for a break back to the upside, I am keeping a close eye on this 5,713, 5,715, kind of the mid-teens area. I think with a break above that, we can invalidate this push down we're having at the moment and push this back above and potentially start targeting into those close to the 5750 area up into this range. Now, if we do continue to fall, the next area that I'm looking for a breakdown would be the 5,685 area. I think 5,685 can bring us back down into kind of a similar region that we had on NQ. Now, we saw that liquidity there on Friday morning. Would like to see that hold as a support for the buyers to push it back up. But if we do break, again, 56.85, I think there's a good chance that we can travel down another 10 to 20 points or so. So very similar charts on NQ and ES. They usually do correlate pretty well. Overall, like I said, you know, the markets are still creating higher highs, higher lows on the semi-lower time frames, the 4 hour, the hourly, you know, even the daily here is starting to show some signs here of a slight market structure shift, where you can see we set in the low, then a new higher low, and maybe potentially looking to pull back for another higher low. You know, we've been running for quite some time, so it would not shock me at all to see price action pull back just a little bit this week. It is a very volatile week with, I believe, FOMC, so the rate decisions, JPOW, etc. So there's a couple of decent volatility spikes that could come in, and of course, you know, we can't forget about Trump. If Trump says anything at all, usually we get some pretty intense added volatility into the market as well. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Just want to quickly go over the ES and Q levels that I have, especially for those who do trade overnight. This video is going to be going up here tonight, May 4th. So you'll be able to trade most likely these levels by the time this video comes out. And then, of course, if you're in the Alpha Stocks Lab Discord community, you'll be able to view our weekly preparation looking at other stocks into next week, the week of the 5th. And yeah, so if you're not a part of that, join down in the description. You can click the link, join our community here today. We're also hosting a boot camp here in New York City on June 4th. There's still spots available. It is an open event. You're more than welcome to register and come on out. And people who register for the boot camp do get a free month of Alpha Pro membership in the Alpha Stocks Lab. So definitely be sure to take them up on that offer. Hit that link in the description and hope to see you there. But nonetheless, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave it a like, comment down below, let me know what you guys think, and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video.